Brother Nanshi, please protect my identity. I am a Tswana man. I am a South African man. I was born and I was raised here in Gauteng. After I had finished my degree in public administration, I started struggling to find a good job here in Johannesburg, even though my mother never wanted me to leave the province. She just wanted me to find a job here in Gauteng, but I was unable to get a job. And I started fighting with my baby mama because I was not employed. So, as I was struggling to find this job, I finally landed. All of a surprise, I got a job. This was a high level position in a government department, which means that I was going to leave Gauteng and I was going to be working in Limpopo. My mom then said, okay, it's fine. It is not that very far where I had gotten this job. And she said that you should always make sure that you come back home and do not get married there, because I want you to get married. She wanted me to marry a woman from our own tribe. I was young, I was ambitious. What made me to study public administration? It was not that I just wanted to get a quick job, since the government is the biggest employer in our country, but I wanted to serve the people. I wanted to stop corruption and I wanted to change the world. When I arrived in the office, that was when I found out that it was a different ball game altogether. I found people there that had been working in that department for a very long time. This department, it was run by elderly people. Most of them, they were local leaders from the local communities, and some of them, they were white people who had been there since those old days, and they hated to be led by a black person, worst of all, someone whom they thought that was not experienced enough, who could not speak to them directly in Afrikaans. Have you ever had people whom you are working with and they do not like to be addressed in English, but they want you to speak with them in Afrikaans? That was the situation that I was looking at the time. So these people, they did not want to see change. They wanted the department to be run the way that they had been running it for 20 plus years. And when they looked at me, they saw this young man from Joburg who was not a local, from Limpopo, a Tswana man from the city. They saw me as an enemy. Have you ever worked with people whom, if you send an email to that person, you are seeing the person, he is in the next office, and you send an email, they don't even respond to the email? That is exactly what was happening. They would ignore my emails, and if we would try to implement any sort of changes, if it was my idea, then they would turn me down. But they would come back with that very same idea, and then they would say that this is what we are supposed to be doing this year. And these people, they would be talking behind my back in languages, some that I did not even understand, sabotaging my projects. And I would walk into a meeting, people would be busy talking before the meeting, just casual, normal talking before a meeting. And once I am in that room, everyone just goes quiet, or they would start to speak in Afrikaans, because the elderly people that I was working with, most of them, they knew how to speak Afrikaans, so they would rather speak with Afrikaans when I was there, so that I won't be able to join the conversation. And I was miserable, I was lonely, and I am someone who was born to be a leader. So in each and everything that I do, I will end up leading. Even if I'm not like thinking about it, I can start to lead a team without me even thinking that this is what I am doing. I was being treated like I was a messenger boy. I became friends with a colleague whom I will call Clemens. He was from Guyana. He saw how I was struggling in life. One Friday after work, over some drinks, I told Clemens that these people, they do not like me, and I feel as if they are going to kill me because they don't respect me. There was one elderly man, if I would send him on a job to go and do something, he would look at me and he would say, Vafan, so you now think that since because you have your own office, you can be sending old people like us. We are going to get promoted and we are going to be promoted above you so that we can show you. So I was afraid that maybe someone would end up bewitching me, and I wanted to be respected. I wanted people to fear me, even the white people to fear me. When I tell them something, they were not supposed to look at me as a young boy, but as their own boss. I wanted to be the boss. Clemens then said, my friend, here in Limpopo, we don't just fight, with pens and computers in the board meetings. No, we fight using charms. If you want them to bow to you, you must go to a sangoma. Find a sangoma that is going to assist you. So I kept on asking him about these sangomas that he was talking about. He then said, no, do not go to these sangomas in town. They are just going to rob you. Look for a sangoma from the villages. And I said, which village am I supposed to go to? Because I do not even have anyone that I know who stays deep in the villages that is not going to require a lot of money to strengthen me so that people can be afraid of me. He then said, there is this other powerful traditional healer. I will speak with him. This healer, he was from Guyani, the village where Clemens was coming from. He went home, and when he came back, that was when he told me that the healer had said he was going to give him the phone numbers of this other traditional healer who was not in Guyani but in Malamulele. That was when we ended up going. I was just trying to experiment to see if there is juju there in Limpopo. So then we went to Malamulele, and I did not care about the consequences. I was doing this without even thinking that it was going to work. I just wanted to satisfy myself by saying I have tried even to use witchcraft, but it did not work at the things that I wanted to do. So when it was on a Saturday, that was when me and Clemens, we traveled to Malamulele. When we arrived there, I saw the traditional healer. The healer then told me that he was going to assist me, but in order for him to help me, there was something that I was supposed to do. He said that he was going to give me a charm, but this charm, it was going to expire. I had to return back to his shrine so that he can assist me and I can be feared at work, in my house. Even when I am walking, people can just fear me. He told me to go and buy a brand new okapi knife, and he told me when I would have bought this okapi knife, this was the most terrifying part. When I would have returned back home, the next time that I was pooping, I was not supposed to poop into the toilet. I was supposed to go outside on my lawn. Then I poop on the lawn and leave the poop there for the rest of the night. I was not supposed to poop like in the afternoon. I had to hold it back until the sun would have gone down. So I returned back, and then I bought an okapi. After I had bought the okapi, then I waited until the sun had gone down, and then I went onto the lawn and I was totally naked, and I started to poop on the lawn. When I was done, I had to use that okapi knife to cut myself a bit in that private area where the poop comes out, and I was supposed to cut myself until there was blood on the knife, and I was supposed to bring that knife back to his shrine. Brother Nashi, I did it. The pain was unbelievable. I was there cutting myself on the lawn, and I was crying. I did not cut myself too deep. I just cut myself so that there can be blood that was coming out. I was bleeding throughout the night, and the next weekend I spoke with Clemens, and I told him that we were supposed to return back to Malamulele. He said, okay, it's fine. We then went with that bloody okapi knife back to Malamulele. The healer then took it and he dipped it into a clay pot that was full of fresh milk, and he told me to drink that fresh milk. After I had followed everything that he had told me I was supposed to do, he told me to return back to the place where I was staying. And the next day, when I would go to work, I was supposed to call out the names of all the people. Before I would have reached the offices, I was supposed to find a graveyard, and I was supposed to go to any grave, and then I would speak the names of all the people whom I thought did not respect me at work, and everyone else who was working in our department. These people who were not against me, I was not supposed to mention their names one by one. I had to speak about the department in general and to tell them to start respecting me the way that people respect those that would have died and those that are buried in the cemetery. Command respect in the world of the living. That is what I was supposed to do. And then he told me that if I will ever leave that department or stop working in the government, I was supposed to return to his shrine to close the contract. If I do not do that, something bad will happen to me. I was just excited. I just wanted to see if indeed there was witchcraft in Limpopo. So I did not even listen properly. He just told me to keep the okapi underneath my bed, and I just had to rub a little bit of the lion fat on my forehead after heating it a little bit in a pan, and then I put some salt, and people will see a lion when they look at me, white man or not a white person. So I forgot about what he had told me. The contract was open and I was supposed to return back to his shrine so that I can be able to free myself from that contract that we had. So the charm, it started working. Within 2 weeks, everyone in the office started to change. The people who used to disrespect me, those people, whenever I would call them into my office, they'll come running. When I would look at someone in the eyes, that person will look down, because you cannot look at a lion directly into its eyes. The white officials, they would always look down whenever I would call them or walking past. I was promoted within 6 months. I was now the big boss that I always wanted to be. Then that was when I started to suffer from terrible hemorrhages. It was painful. The moment that I had cut myself down there, the pain that I felt, it was nothing close to the pain that I was feeling whenever I would have a hemorrhage, and it was just painful. I just thought that maybe it was piles, and I even stopped eating white bread, saying that this white bread, it is the one that is causing me to have these piles down there. To someone that has never had piles before, you will never understand the pain that I am talking about. I would cry whenever I would be trying to poop, and you are always in the toilet when something like that happens to you. So I would go to a pharmacy, I would go to a private doctor, but it was not working. I started to bleed. And when I say that I started bleeding, like a woman who goes on her monthly cycle, I would also bleed, not each and every time. I would bleed maybe from the 18th to the 20th each and every month, or sometimes the bleeding will come late, but it always came at the same dates, around the same time, as if this was like period, and I always had a lot of pain. I was in a lot of constant pain. So I just told myself that maybe it was the diet. I even went to a dietitian so that I can get a better diet. But then I received a massive offer in a private sector back in Gauteng. It was more money. So I packed my bags and I moved from Limpopo and I returned back to Joburg. My family, they were happy about this. I completely forgot about that traditional healer because I had seen that the witchcraft had worked, and since I was in pain, I was now more focused on my pain that I had and going to Western medical doctors and not consulting with traditional healers. So I did not go back to Malamulele to close that contract as I had been told by the traditional healer. Shortly after moving back to Gauteng, I went back to church and I started to pray again. I wanted to chase away the spirit of witchcraft, if there was any that I had gotten when I had gone to do those rituals in Malamulele. One afternoon, my young son was playing on the balcony. I had put my baby mama in a new apartment. We had two kids. One is still alive. The other one fell from the balcony and hit the stairs too bad. And he tripped off and he survived for a little while. He stayed in the hospital. And then that was when he passed away. Brother Nashi, when my son passed away, I got so much pain and I started to consult. When I was consulting again, I was then told that I am a ritualist. I could not understand how was it even possible that I am a ritualist. I was told that when I went to do those rituals to get good luck and people are supposed to fear me, then it means that I am a ritualist. I do have a tokoloshi because I did not return back to that sangoma. I was terrified. I even called Clemens and I told him that we needed to go back to Malamulele immediately. He said, okay, it's fine. I drove from Gauteng and then we went back to that village. When we arrived there, that was when I was told that the Sangoma had passed away. He was the only man who knew how to undo this thing, the contract that we signed. I returned back to Gauteng and I am being tortured every day. I am suffering from painful piles. I even scream when I am in the toilet because of the pain. The most embarrassing part, I do not know if it is being caused of these piles that I have been suffering from for years and years. I need help there. Whenever I am with a woman, it makes me feel useless as a man. It only happens when I am with a woman. When I am about to make love, the moment that things get intimate, strange things they are happening. I start to fart non-stop. It is not normal gas. It is loud. I can't control the way that I fart. And it gets these women to feel disgusted and they will end up dumping me. Like I do not fart only once. It will be one after the other, one after the other. Even the woman will be like, wow, can't you just stop? Like it is so disgusting. I am someone that has money, but I do not even have a woman right now because of the things that are happening to me. I have been to different doctors. They just give me creams for the piles. The gas and the pain, they still remain. I just need advice. If there is anyone, Brother Nashi, if there is a Zim Sangoma or a prophet, I am scared to visit these prophets that I am seeing all over Gauteng that are from Zim, that have their churches in the bushes. Can I trust those people? Can I just go to their churches and then I explain whatever that is happening to me? Are they not going to scam me of my money? I feel tempted whenever I see those people from Zim kneeling in the fields, in the bushes. When I see them on the highway, I even feel like stopping my car so that I can go and I can speak with them. There are times when I feel so much pain whilst I am driving. I drive, Brother Nanshi, lifting my buttocks a little bit so that I won't put too much pressure on my backside because the piles, they will be so painful. Yo, dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our dear brother. Strange things indeed they do happen in this world. Let us try to speak with our dear brother in the comment section. Yo, can you imagine?